Team Yankee have pulled out some Czech and Polish forces. Ben, what have we got?
So these are two new box sets that are coming out, a little bit like the starter armies that you've seen them do before for Team Yankee. But these ones are based around the Czechoslovakian forces and the Polish forces in World War III, which didn't happen, but maybe did. Who knows? It could be happening very, very soon. Who could tell in this crazy era that we're in of politics? But anyway, so as well as these new sets, they're also going to be producing a whole bunch of extra box sets as well. So you'll be able to go and check out some more stuff over on the Battlefront website so you can see what kind of big artillery pieces and tanks they've got in there. I'm not going to even hesitate to guess what the actual things in these boxes are. So I'm just going to say that you get some tanks, some helicopters, and some cool infantry as well.
Jim?
So.
Help. What do we got here?
There's armored transports in there as well.
So you're asking me to look at some of the vehicles? All right, well,
that looks like a pair of Hinds.
Yeah, so we're looking at a pair of Hinds, and what makes the Warsaw Pact a little confusing in Team Yankee in the general 1980s period is that they pretty much got to use a lot of Soviet equipment.
Yeah.
This gives us as gamers a lot of flexibility and leeway in that, okay, I got some T-55s.
Mm-hmm.
I can build them as East Germans. I can build them as, a category 2 or 3 Soviets. I'll explain what that is in just a moment. Or Poles or Czechs or who knows who else. Mm-hmm. Hind gunships, things like that. So Team Yankee, the game, obviously, is based on Team Yankee, the novel, Harold Coyle, 1987. What that's actually, and we went through this in the Team Yankee article series, what that actually is, when you're playing Team Yankee, the game, you're not playing Team Yankee, the novel. You're playing Sir John Hackett's The Third World War, 1985. Mm-hmm. Absolutely superlative, novel that came out, written by the former commander of NATO forces, Sir John Hackett, General Sir John Hackett. I think he wrote it, published in 1977, so he's writing it in 75 to 78.
Yeah.
This is when August 1985 was the dark, distant future, and people weren't really sure what the geostrategic or the military situation in West Germany was really going to look like. So he makes a lot of guesses.
Yeah.
Okay. Fast forward to the 1980s. Harold Coyle is an American armor officer. He wants to write a book about tanks in a theoretical World War III. I'm not even going to try and build my own world, he says. I'm going to write in my foreword right up front, I am shamelessly setting my novel in Sir John Hackett's novel. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you're ever serious about the background of Team Yankee, and you've read everything that Battlefront has published on it, and you're ready for something new, check out the original source material. The history, quote unquote, of that is a novel called The Third World War by Sir John Hackett. Mm-hmm. And it's got everything. This is where you see all this expansion stuff, the Czechs, the Poles. There's a scene in Team Yankee, the novel, where Team Yankee goes up against a Polish armored regiment in T-55s. So these are right out of the novel.
Yeah.
It also shows where, Battlefront's been doing a great job with, at the one hand, sticking with the original source material. So the original source material has US M1s versus Soviet T-72s. Mm-hmm. And, all the grognards kind of line up and they immediately start saying, well. That's because Team Yankee the game is based on Team Yankee the novel, which was based on Arthur C. I'm sorry, I almost said Arthur C. Clarke.
Arthur C. Clarke.
I didn't know you went in for that.
I just jumped genres right there. Sir John Hackett's novel. But again, Sir John Hackett was writing in the future.
Yes.
And he was making educated guesses, probably the most educated guesses that any man at the time could have made.
Yeah.
Who else is more qualified than the commander of NATO forces at the time?
Mm-hmm.
However, what Battlefront's been doing is they've been introducing more and more of this expansion stuff. The Red Thunder with the T-64s. These are the right tanks that the Americans are supposed to be fighting. So here's where we really start getting into some of the battles that are some of the equipment and vehicles that we really would have seen.
Yeah.
If pick a date, pick 1985. You have to pick a date sooner or later because technology was advancing very quickly. 1985, if that balloon had really gone up, these are what these vehicles are what, and equipment and orders of battle are what these armies would have had in the field at that time. Which, by the way, now that we're getting into the Czechs and the Poles, the classic NATO versus NATO versus Warsaw Pact force, you're fighting, NATO on one side, and for the Soviets, you have what they called Group of Soviet Forces in Germany, GSFG. These are all the Category 1, like top-notch T-80, T-64 equipped, divisions that you would see in the field at that time. But now that we're getting the Poles and the Czechs, we're a little bit further south. We're into the part of the battlefield that goes into southern Bavaria and Austria. Here's where you run into CGSF, Central Group of Soviet Forces.
Right.
So this is pretty much down a little bit into what we're a different like army group of the Soviet forces. And here is where the 8th Guards. I'm reaching way back, folks. I'm going all the way back.
Yeah.
This is where the 8th Guards is still around, and this is where they were deployed. So this is the kind of equipment that they would have been. They would have like the same T-72s that a regular Team Yankee force has, or whatever.
Yeah.
And they really would have had T-72s. This is one of the exceptions to the rule. But right alongside, they would have had these Czech and they would have had these Pole forces with these. It looks like T-55s and T-55 upgrades with reactive armor panels.
Yeah.
No, those are T-72s. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that's your Polish forces there.
Okay, yeah, those are T-72s.
And the other one is the
BMP
Czech
1s and
Slovak
2s.
forces.
Yeah, those are also okay. That's like, that one in the front. It definitely looks like I can't really tell from here. That might be a T-64. It might be a T-64. No, that wouldn't be a T-64. They use T-64s.
Well, you see, there are some very minor.
It's tough to see.
Whenever you look at the turret on the one on the left here versus the turret on the central one, looks like this one has some night vision gear popped on top of it there.
Yeah, I'm also looking at right where you see the Czech national insignia. That little bit of on the other one. Yeah, do you see that difference? That almost looks like the addition you see on the East German T-55s. But the barrel's totally wrong. Those look like T-72 gun barrels. They have the multiple segments on the thermal insulator. You see how it looks like a bunch of little pipes stuck together?
Yes.
Those are the segments of the thermal insulation that you see on the outside of the barrel.
Right.
The T-55's gun barrel only has one of those. Actually, it's the fume extractor. They don't have any of those thermal insulators.
Yeah.
And that's to keep the gun barrel perfectly constant in temperature. And if you fire 2 or 3 rounds through one of those gun barrels, the gun barrel will actually start to change in shape.
Right.
Just enough to throw you around, because you're engaging at 3,000 meters.
Yeah.
Well, for the Soviets, 2,000 meters. A really long way off, and just a little bit. So you want to
2-kilometer engagement. So it's
Oh yeah.
yeah. It almost makes the tabletop irrelevant at that point, doesn't
Well,
it? You know, it's like
the feeling I got when I got to play World War 2.5 with Jim recently.
yeah.
I'll save chatting about that more for later, or if people go watch the video when it comes out. But getting those different operational levels, you get a really different feel and sense of how far tanks can actually shoot and engage with each other.